Welcome to the Stoic Golden Tribe, where enduring wisdom meets the strength of presence, and where we uncover the truths modern society refuses to teach men. Let's not sugarcoat it. Today's topic is raw, real, and long overdue. We're diving into the unsettling reality behind a question many men silently carry. Why do women seem more attracted to the men who don't value them? It's confusing, frustrating, and emotionally draining when you give your heart, show up with integrity, and still get sidelined for the guy who plays games, stays distant, or worse, treats her like she's replaceable. But here's the uncomfortable truth. This isn't about women being broken or men needing to become heartless. It's about emotional dynamics, psychological patterns, and power imbalances that are shaped by both evolution and modern dysfunction. In this video, we're going to break it all down. You'll discover why emotional detachment creates desire in today's dating world, how men accidentally sabotage their attraction by giving too much too soon, why some women confuse love with the thrill of unpredictability, and how to stand in your masculine power without losing your soul in the process. Each chapter is a deep dive into timeless principles, real-world examples, and powerful emotional intelligence you need to navigate the modern relationship landscape like a man of value, not a man of desperation. By the end of this video, you'll walk away with more than just answers. You'll have a new level of clarity, strength, and peace within yourself. So make sure to like this video, share it with a brother who needs to hear the truth, and subscribe for more content that empowers you to rise above the noise. And most importantly, drop a comment below. Let us know how this truth resonates with you, because when one man speaks from truth, another man feels seen. And here at the Stoic Golden Tribe, we rise together. Chapter 1. The Hidden Psychology of Female Desire. There's a common phrase you may have heard tossed around: nice guys finish last. Most men hear this early in life. Some shrug it off, others resent it, and a few begin to sense a deeper truth behind it. So let's go deeper. Why is it that the men who show care, affection, and loyalty often get ghosted, overlooked, or placed in the friend zone, while the emotionally unavailable man becomes the one she obsesses over? The answer lies in psychological contrast, the silent tug-of-war between comfort and desire. You see, women, like men, are wired with both primal instincts and emotional conditioning. The part of her that craves love wants consistency, security, and loyalty. But the part of her that gets activated by attraction, that part thrives on mystery, uncertainty, and challenge. This isn't about games or manipulation. It's about how tension creates focus, and focus fuels desire. Why emotional distance creates emotional gravity. When a man places a woman at the center of his universe, before she's earned that place, something subtle but powerful happens. She stops seeing him as a challenge. She starts feeling safe, but not stimulated. Here's the paradox: the very things that make you a good man, openness, kindness, vulnerability, can reduce your perceived value when they're given too soon or without discernment. Not because those traits are weak, but because value isn't in what you give, it's in how you give it. If a woman doesn't have to earn your time, your attention, or your devotion, she instinctively places a lower value on it. Not out of malice, but out of psychology. Humans are wired to treasure what's scarce and question what's abundant. When you're always available, constantly texting, and openly expressive with your feelings from day one, she no longer has to wonder about you. And once there's no mystery, there's no tension. And without tension, desire fades. In every romantic dynamic, there is polarity, a magnetic tension between masculine and feminine energy. Masculine energy is grounded, purposeful, and calm. Feminine energy is emotional, flowing, and dynamic. When a man steps too deep into emotional overexpression too soon, he often disrupts this polarity. He's no longer grounded, he's reacting, he's no longer leading, he's seeking approval. And she can feel it. At that point, it's no longer about love. It becomes about energy, who's holding the frame and who's chasing it. A man must always remember this. Before she can fall for your heart, she has to respect your presence. Respect must precede emotional intimacy. This is where so many good men go wrong. They lead with emotion before building authority, but attraction without respect becomes weakness, and respect without boundaries becomes resentment. You must build yourself first, not as a cold, distant shell, but as a man whose life is already full, a man who doesn't need a woman to validate him, a man whose attention is a gift, not a given. That's the kind of man who draws her in, not because he plays games, but because his energy says, "I don't chase, I choose." The ancient Stoics understood something our culture has forgotten. A man's peace is his power. A man's restraint is his weapon. Marcus Aurelius ruled the Roman Empire with strength, yet his journals reveal a man committed to internal stillness. He didn't beg for love or validation. He understood that everything external, especially a woman's affection, must never hold dominion over his sense of self. That's not cold, that's wisdom. The modern man must reclaim this balance, be emotionally available but not emotionally dependent, be open but not overexposed, be caring but not overcompensating. Comment below, "I lead with value, not desperation." Drop that in the comments if you know your energy is sacred and you refuse to beg for attention. For Chapter 2, Why Emotional Chaos Feels Like Love to the Unhealed. Let's get brutally honest. There are countless men walking on eggshells in relationships, constantly adjusting, overgiving, trying harder, believing that more affection will finally unlock her heart. But she doesn't respond. Instead, she pulls away, only to chase the man who gives her less. Why? Because for many women, especially those carrying emotional wounds from their past, peace feels foreign and chaos feels like home. And until she heals, she will continue to associate unpredictability with emotional intensity and confuse that intensity with love. From a psychological standpoint, many people, men and women alike, carry what's called an anxious attachment style. This pattern often forms early in life when love is inconsistent. One moment it's there, the next it's gone. So the nervous system becomes wired to equate emotional tension with connection. So what happens when a woman meets a man who is emotionally distant, mysterious, and unpredictable? She becomes activated. Her subconscious recognizes that push-pull pattern, and while her logical mind says, "He's not good for me," her emotional body says, "Chase him, fix him, prove you're worthy." This is the trap. And here's the painful part. When she meets a man who is present, calm, and fully available, she might feel bored. Not because he lacks value, but because her nervous system doesn't recognize his love as familiar. The dangerous allure of the bad boy. This is why the bad boy archetype never seems to die. He's not attractive because he's cruel. He's attractive because he's unpredictable. She doesn't know where she stands with him. And that uncertainty triggers desire in an unhealed woman. This isn't just romantic tension. It's emotional survival. When a man gives just enough attention to keep her hooked, but withdraws before she feels secure, she interprets that pattern as something worth fighting for. Because subconsciously, the chase equals love. This isn't about morals, it's about emotional addiction. Psi men must stop trying to be her healer. This is where many good men destroy themselves. They see her potential, they sense her pain, and they believe if they love her hard enough, they can heal her. But let this be a truth you engrave on your soul. You are not her therapist. You are not her savior. You are not her project. A woman who is addicted to emotional chaos will unconsciously create it, even in the presence of peace. And if you constantly sacrifice your peace to soothe her storms, you will lose your identity. You will lose your power. And you will eventually lose her respect. Be the lighthouse, not the lifeboat. There's a reason strong women fall in love with grounded men. And there's a reason emotionally volatile women often run from them. A lighthouse doesn't chase ships. It stands tall, unwavering, radiating light from a place of stillness. If she's ready to come to shore, she will. but you don't dim your light or abandon your foundation to swim into the storm and save her. Because here's what most men forget. The moment you sacrifice your strength to prove your love, you stop being the man she was drawn to in the first place. Look around and you'll see it. A man who bends over backward, he's ignored. A man who maintains his frame, sets boundaries, and protects his peace, he becomes the magnet. Think about the relationships where a woman says, "I don't know what it is about him. He just has something." That something is emotional self-control. It's the discipline to stay grounded even when she tests you. It's the ability to offer presence without becoming her emotional sponge. Love her, but don't lose yourself. Care, but stay conscious. Give, but never bleed for attention. Here's the real flex in the modern world. A man who feels deeply but isn't driven by his feelings. A man who has the strength to love, but also the wisdom to walk away. This kind of man is rare. He doesn't overreact, he doesn't overgive, and he doesn't get caught in the highs and lows of emotional drama. Because he knows real love isn't chaos, it's peace. Comment below, "I protect my peace because I know what it's worth." If you've ever lost yourself trying to save someone who wasn't ready, drop this in the comments to reclaim your strength. Chapter 3. Her tests are not games. They're subconscious questions. There's a moment in every man's experience when he's hit with a confusing shift. She seemed sweet, soft, deeply into him at first. But suddenly things feel different. She becomes distant, snappy, moody. She picks small fights. She makes sarcastic comments. She pulls back, then leans in again. Most men take this personally. They get emotional, reactive, or insecure. But the men who understand female psychology and emotional intelligence, they remain calm because they know what's really happening. She's testing him. And contrary to popular belief, this isn't manipulation or cruelty. It's instinctive, subconscious. It's how a woman gauges the emotional strength of a man, especially once feelings start to deepen. Imagine this. She feels herself falling. Her emotions are growing stronger. She's opening her heart. And with that comes fear. Fear of betrayal. Fear of choosing the wrong man. Fear of losing herself in someone who doesn't know how to lead or protect her emotionally. So what does she do? She tests his ability to hold the frame, to stay calm under pressure, to remain rooted when she's spinning. Because if a man can't emotionally regulate himself, how can she trust him to protect her emotional world? Examples of common tests and how men fail them. 1. The emotional withdrawal test. She pulls back to see how you react. Do you chase her, blow up her phone, get anxious, or do you remain composed, giving her space without collapsing? 2. The disrespect test. She says something sharp or challenges your boundaries. Do you get defensive, try to win the argument, or do you calmly assert your line without emotional escalation? 3. The jealousy test. She brings up another guy or flirts with attention from others. Do you get insecure and try to prove yourself? Or do you know your worth, stay non-reactive, and refuse to play small? These moments are not about the surface issue. They're about this deeper question. Can you hold me emotionally, even when I'm not easy to love? Most men fail these tests because they interpret them as threats instead of opportunities to show their strength. Here's what every high-value man must master: stillness. Stillness is not inaction, it's presence without panic, it's clarity without chaos. It's the kind of energy that says, I don't need to control you, I already control myself. That's what she's drawn to, that's what makes her feel safe. Even when she's not making it easy, she doesn't want to destroy your peace, she just wants to feel your strength. If your mood swings with hers, she doesn't feel held, she feels unled. Lead with boundaries, not ego. But let's be clear, passing her tests doesn't mean you tolerate disrespect or emotional abuse. It means you know how to respond with gracious authority. If she's testing you with chaos and you calmly call it out, without yelling, pleading, or shrinking, you pass with power. If she crosses a line and you're willing to walk away, not to punish her, but to protect your peace, you pass with dignity. Because here's the secret. A woman might test your boundaries, but she respects the man who enforces them with calm, masculine presence. From an evolutionary standpoint, women have always looked for protectors, not just physically, but emotionally. In tribal times, survival depended on a man's ability to stay composed under pressure. In modern times, that still holds true, only now, the battle isn't with lions or wars, it's with emotional storms, relational challenges, and internal chaos. If she senses that your mood, confidence, or self-worth depends on her approval, you lose the primal edge that draws her in. But if she feels your emotional sovereignty, your unshakable core, she surrenders more deeply. Because she knows, this man won't collapse when I'm spinning. Some men fear that if they're too calm or too boundaried, they'll come off as cold. But the truth is, women crave that emotional stability, especially in a world full of emotionally erratic men. You don't have to be distant, just unmoved by drama. You don't have to be mean, just unavailable to chaos. That's not cold, it's controlled. And control, in the emotional realm, is the ultimate masculine trait. Stop explaining yourself to be chosen. When a woman tests you, and you start over-explaining, begging or pleading, you shift the power dynamic. You tell her, I need you to approve of me, so I'll abandon myself to win you. And from that moment forward, you become the one chasing. And attraction, it starts to die. Never explain your value. Just embody it. Let your calmness be your proof. Let your stillness be your standard. Let your boundaries be your voice. Comment below, I passed the test by protecting my peace. If you've learned the power of emotional composure, drop this in the comments to affirm your inner strength. Chapter 4. Why the man who doesn't chase is always chosen. Let's flip the script completely. In a world that constantly tells men to try harder, prove your worth, or never give up on her, one truth remains buried under layers of emotional confusion. The man who doesn't chase becomes the man she can't stop thinking about. Why? Because chasing is about fear. Choosing is about power. A man who chases says, please pick me, I need your validation. But a man who chooses says, I know my worth, I align or I walk. The difference is night and day. Scarcity thinking says, she's beautiful, I may never find another like her. So you tolerate disrespect, you ignore red flags, you overextend. But abundance thinking says, there are millions of women, but only one me. So you stay selective. You move with standards. You don't beg. Women feel this difference at an energetic level. You see, energy doesn't lie. You can say all the right things, but if your actions reveal desperation, she knows and she pulls away. Because here's what women truly respect. A man whose self-worth isn't tied to her approval. A man who doesn't panic when he's not chosen. A man who walks without anger, without games, when he senses misalignment. Attraction is about gravity, not pursuit. Imagine two men, man, constantly texts her, over-compliments her, drops his plans for her, checks her social media every hour, and floods her with attention. Man B is focused, grounded, courteous, but never needy. He listens but doesn't over-explain. He offers presence but not pressure. He gives, but from overflow, not emptiness. Which man is more attractive? It's not a trick question. Women are drawn to the man with gravitational pull, not the one sprinting in circles trying to be picked. Self-control is the sexiest trait you can have. Chasing is about impulse. Choosing is about self-control. Every man must understand this. If you chase a woman who is not chasing you back, you are stepping out of your king energy and into servant energy. That doesn't mean you don't pursue, but pursuit is intentional, direct, and short-term. Chasing is needy, indefinite, and desperate. A king doesn't chase peasants for validation. He builds a throne so magnetic, the right woman chooses to sit beside him. She wants to be chosen by a man who doesn't need her, but deeply values her when she brings value too. Stillness creates desire. Stillness is not the absence of action, it is the presence of power. Stillness is what allows a man to observe red flags instead of override them. Stillness allows him to let her walk away without collapsing into anxiety. Stillness allows him to say, if it's not right, I won't force it. That's power. A man who doesn't chase understands this truth. If she wants you, she'll show you. If she doesn't, your peace is worth more than her attention. The real secret to being wanted. Want to be the man women crave. Stop chasing and start building. Build your mission. Build your body. Build your peace. Build your mind. Build your boundaries. Because when you're deeply immersed in your purpose, you stop making women the center of your universe. And paradoxically, that's what makes you irresistible. She feels the pull, not because you're desperate, but because you're already whole. She senses the difference, and the more healed she is, the more drawn she'll be to that completeness. Throughout history, the most powerful men didn't beg for love. They attracted it by the force of who they became. From Marcus Aurelius, who ruled with calm stoicism, to Nelson Mandela, who earned global respect through unshakable presence. These men didn't gain admiration through emotional chasing. They led with integrity. They moved with stillness. They let the world come to them, not out of ego, but out of self-respect. You must do the same. One of the greatest traps for men is trying harder when she pulls away. She texts less, so you text more. She grows cold, so you heat things up. She shows less interest, and you double your attention. This doesn't fix the problem, it makes it worse, because you teach her that she doesn't have to give in order to receive. You train her to believe your value comes without effort, and eventually, she loses respect. What she feels when you walk away, calmly. Here's what most men never realize. When you walk away, not with bitterness, but with peace, it triggers something powerful in her. Not because you're trying to manipulate her, but because it forces her to reevaluate your worth. She feels the vacuum, the silence, the strength in your distance, and suddenly, your absence speaks louder than your presence ever did. If she values you, she will come back different. If she doesn't, she never deserved access to your kingdom in the first place. Comment below, I attract, I don't chase. If you're ready to step into the kind of masculine energy that commands respect and draws love naturally, drop this in the comments and own your power. Welcome to the age of the grounded man. You don't win by chasing, you don't win by pleasing, you win by leading yourself and letting everything else fall into place around that leadership. If this message hit home, brothers, remember, like this video to support the mission. Share it with a man who needs this truth. Subscribe to the Stoic Golden Tribe for more raw, powerful, emotionally intelligent insights. And drop your thoughts in the comments. We read everyone. Until next time, stand tall, lead with presence, and never apologize for your value.